So again today, it is now April 3rd, 2024, and another report surfaces about 15 minutes ago, this time by John Macaroon. And it talks again about both CD Deuce and Lions fans quick to turn, meaning quick to turn on the players. And he also uses the same exact word that Jeff Risdon did, certain fans. Again, saying certain fans. Now, I don't know what certain fans are. Now, the other day I used that same word when I was, reviewing Jeff Risdon's article and talking about the toxicity of the fan base and what has kind of led to, with some of the players that are no longer Lions. And this time, John Macaroon says that former Lions safety has been facing criticisms from Lions fans. Maybe we're in his DMs, not me personally. Maybe there's just a lot of things being spread on social media. But the one thing that I can tell you is that social media never forgets. And the minute that you put something out there, more than likely a large population screenshots it because they know that stuff can turn into gold and it can be utilized later against you. That's why it's so important to be careful what you put out there. But more importantly, as Lions fans, again, it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to, talk about what happened last season, positive and negative, critical, positively critiquing. But there also becomes a fine line where it does become toxic, or it does become a behavior that maybe players don't want to deal with, which would preclude them from wanting to even come to Detroit. Money isn't everything for players. It's really not. I mean, we've seen plenty of Lions fans, loudly project how much they deeply care about a player. And you never hear them really critique that player, even though that player may have a bad game. So is it just certain players that some fans just have it out against? I mean, we know that CD Deuce is one of the loudest trash talkers there is on the field, and it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And there's a group of fans that absolutely love it, adore it, want to see it. I'm kind of 50-50 with it. I think that it's, needed during a game at certain points, but it can also hinder a game at certain points if that's all you're focusing on as opposed to your play on the field. And I think that's what happened to CJ Gardner-Johnson in the NFC title game. He let his emotions get the best of him, and it cost the Lions a 15-yard penalty in what was the biggest game of the season for us at that moment. And maybe that was the reason why CJ Gardner-Johnson caught a lot of flack from some fans, because it was not needed. It was totally unnecessary. And it went over the line of being a professional. There's one way to be a professional on the field and keep your emotions in check, keep your mouth in check to win the game. You've got a group of guys around you trying to win a game together. That should always be your main focus. So let me go into this article by John Macaroon. And you guys, of course, will make your assumptions or opinions or, whatever ideas you have about this. That's up to you. This is not, I'm just reporting what's being said. I'm not the one that's saying that, you're toxic or, that there's issues with the way that you're a fan. The players are saying that. I'm just reporting it. And you got to remember that's how it works. Especially in journalism, we just report things. It's up to you to decide how you take it and what you do with it. So let me bring the article in here so you know that, again, it's not just me. This has been written by one of your local Detroit beat writers, John Macaroon. And here's the heading. So it goes on to say here that the fan base of the Detroit Lions are among the most loyal and supportive followers of any national football team. But it can be said that when a player decides to accept a free agent contract to play elsewhere, a certain segment of the fan base quickly turns on former players that have donned the Honolulu blue uniform. Now, I've seen that. Okay, I've absolutely seen that, especially in a lot of the live streams that I do. You have a lot of fans that, turn coat and run the other direction away from that player. So, or turn tail, whatever analogy you want to use. Turning back on them. And see, I don't do that. What I do is I put out before free agency the players that I would like to see back. And then I also get the information on who should be back and who should test free agency. I try to put that information out before. So that way it's not a shock. If a player leaves, it's not a shock to me. If a player stays, well, that's great. If it's someone that I didn't expect, there's a reason why. And we let the coaches, figure that stuff out. There's a reason why they brought him back in. So he goes on to say that CD Deuce quickly became one of the most popular members of the roster when he joined the team last offseason. I have to tell you, I was in that boat, man, and I was rowing with him. I was super excited to have a top 10 safety join this Lions defense, in a defensive backfield that was pretty pathetic in 2021 and still pathetic in 2022 and 2023. So I was super excited to see what he could bring to the table. Obviously, nobody expected him to get injured. Goes on to say here that his attitude and on-field persona gave the defense a new sense of confidence and swagger that was quickly embraced by a young team seeking to find a defensive identity. Now, what I can tell you here is when you have young, impressionable minds, sometimes your swagger, if that's what he's going to refer to it as, or your confidence, or I would call it cockiness, or, cocky confident, Sometimes, you can impress that upon younger players and it could be to their detriment. It may not, help them. It may hurt them, but each man has got to make his own decisions for how they handle themselves. Goes on to say here that unfortunately a torn pec muscle derailed the veteran safety's 2023 season. After a subpar performance against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, certain supporters were unhappy with the 26-year-old's poor tackling and prematurely waving to the crowd after the team got out to a lead in the first half. Again, that's what that, I mean, we can't have that, right? You can't be celebrating early. You still had a whole second half to play, and look what happened. After departing, Deuce has been facing some criticisms online for rejoining the Eagles since he previously expressed frustrations with the NFC East squad's fan base. So it's a common theme with CJ Gardner-Johnson. He leaves the Eagles and he downs the fan base in a way that he's kind of doing again right now. And then he comes to the Lions and he talks about the fans and how great the fans are and how awesome we are. And then he leaves and he kind of does the same thing all over again. And he goes on to say this: I should have never left. I want to finish something I started. I think coming here and doing things with the guys I started with, getting to a level most guys can't make it to, I think coming home and playing with a group that's ready to get back where we were and just continue to be great. Well, if you should have never left, then maybe you should have accepted a contract by the Eagles, right? Did they even offer you one? I guess that's the bigger question. I'm surprised that he even got the bag that he did, after coming off such a terrible season, riddled with injury. And we can't blame players, for injury. I mean, obviously, that's a part of the game. 100% of the time, someone's going to get injured throughout the season. It's just to what level or varying degree are they going to get injured. Then he goes on to say, I like being pushed when I walk through those doors, pushed to be great and held to a standard. I think that's why I'm here. I know that's why I'm here. Okay, so did Dan Campbell not push you? Did Aaron Glenn not push you? Did nobody else push you to be great or to be better? Are you trying to say that the Lions coaches don't push their players to be great? So that part I don't understand. Goes on to say here in the article that on social media, in a recently deleted post on Twitter, the former Lions defender expressed, Lions fans quick to turn, but I'm a hush up. And here's the tweet here by CJ Gardner-Johnson. And as you can see, the Detroit Sports Podcast obviously was able to capture a photo of this. Who knows who got it, but that's why you got to be careful what you put out there. So the question is, are Detroit Lions fans too quick to turn on former players? I think that's a question that we've been trying to answer this week. And more importantly, I think it's a question that deserves some sort of a response from the fans. We invest a lot of time, money, and energy as fans to, go to the games, watch the games, host, events at your homes, whatever it is you do on game day. And you're all in, on the season and supporting these guys. There's really nothing that should change a whole lot between the time that they're with your team and they're not. I understand that some players may not have had the best season last year. I still support them. I'm still there for them, even though they're on a different team. Well, I don't have to worry about them anymore. But to say that, we're too quick to turn, I'd have to agree. I'd say that this fan base, for whatever reason, and it probably is an issue in most fan bases, but, turning your back on players just because they went back to another team and then following that up with, a bunch of criticism or, toxic behavior or negativity or whatever it is. I mean, that is your prerogative. You can do what you want, but here's what I will warn you against. It will paint us in a box. It will put this cloud over the fan base that we are toxic and that we don't care about our players and that, when it's all said and done, they were meaningless to us. That's what the picture is being painted to look like. And I don't believe that that's true for the large majority of the fans. I just think that there's some fans that are a little bit louder than others and they, take things to the nth degree and really put their, hardline opinions and criticisms out there. And again, you're more than welcome to have an opinion. Everybody has one. And you're more than welcome to share, your emotions and everything, about how you feel about that player. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not telling you to do anything different. What I'm trying to get people to understand, though, is that this fan base has been known as one of the most loyal fan bases for generations because we have stuck by it through all of the garbage that we've had to go through, all of the losing seasons that we've gone through, not being the brunt of everybody's jokes every single year. And now we're finally at the top of the mountain and we're trying to get to the other side. So that's why I try to implore you to be better fans, the best fans we can be, and support everybody the best way we can, because we want players to feel welcome here and we want them to feel welcome when they leave. When Matthew Stafford left, I was all in on that dude winning a Super Bowl. I knew that the Lions weren't going to do anything that year. We didn't have a team. We didn't have any money. We didn't have really any resources. The draft was good, but outside of that, free agency was lackluster at best. And then everybody started getting injured. And Stafford, man, he was set up right. I supported him. Now, does that mean that I wasn't a Lions fan? No, but I supported my former, team's quarterback in his journey through winning a Super Bowl, which we always thought he could do in Detroit. And for whatever reason, it just never came to fruition. So when he left, I supported him. Now, when he came back, obviously there was some things that, when he came back during the playoff, obviously there was some things that were going on that were pretty bad. I realized there was some things that may have been said, maybe in his camp, maybe not necessarily him, but his wife and others, that really turned it into a negative situation. We were there to support Jared Goff. And that's the kind of support that I'm talking about that everyone needs to see from us. How we supported Jared Goff in that moment. That's who we are. That's the Lions fans that I know. But when they leave, there's no reason to be super negative towards them. It's a business. When your coworker leaves and goes to a different job, do you get on social media and just start ripping them up, telling them they were worthless, that when they worked with you, they were garbage, you really didn't care for them, you didn't like them? I doubt it. I really doubt it. So that's how I look at it. It's just an employee making a decision for their future at a, different employer. And that's, I don't know. Now I'm rambling. So look, another player comes out and says that we turn our backs too quickly. Now, this is the second player this week. Maybe there's more that I haven't read yet. I mean, Josh Reynolds obviously was a bigger one. There was, other words that were used, again, by Jeff Risdon in his article that was posted in the description of that video. But using the words certain fans or certain group of fans or certain part of the fan base, that's the people that we are addressing, is the ones that are super negative. And maybe they're just part of the same old Lions. I don't know. Quite honestly, I don't even know where all of these, definitions of our team come from. Like same old Lions. I don't even know where that really started, but that's just not who we are. We especially now. And it's time we turn the page. It's time that we turn the page to being one of the best franchises in the league, best fan bases in the league that we have been for a very, very, very long time. Let's continue the trend of showing players and the world, man, the NFL world, that we're in it to win it. And we're ready, for what's next in a new chapter of Detroit football. So that's it for today's video. We'll see you guys tonight live at 8 p.m. It is Wednesday, midweek roundup. So we'll be talking about all the latest news, rumors, and everything going on around the league. And be right here, 8 p.m. on Rock Down Detroit Lions, part of the Rock Down Podcast Network. We'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.